Welcome to Allies or Enemies. I'm Jess.
And I am Shawn, and this time we are taking a look back at the best games of 2020. And you did hear that right. We're not accidentally saying the wrong year. We never did a 2020. And we kept saying all last year, we're like, let's do it. And then we're like, oh, we didn't play enough games. We didn't play those games. We finally, a whole year later, got to the point where we feel like we played what we wanted to play, and we really got a good idea of what our top 10 is. So we thought, you know what, let's just do it a year late.
And we really loved so many games that came out that year that we were really excited to make our list and see what ended up in the top 10.
Yeah, 2020 was a great year. Like, I don't know if it's going to be one of the greatest ever years, but I don't know. Like, I was thinking about, like, what are the great years? Like, in movies, it's like 82. It's like E.T., Blade Runner, Tron, Dark Crystal, like lots of cool stuff, Secret of Nim. In music, it's like 67 or 94. 94 was good for movies, too. I love 1994. But for board games, it just feels like 2020 was really a killer year.
2020 might be the best year of board games. We'll find out.
Maybe. I don't know. We'd really have to look back, but it's the best recent year of board games. That's for sure. And we've got a top 10 to count down, and we did the same thing we did with our 2021.
Yeah, we ranked them for what we thought individually, what were our favorite games. Then we compared that, and based on the average scores is how we did our list. And they were fairly similar. Again, we like very similar games. Some small differences, but usually that's just because we think they're all great. There wasn't really necessarily for a lot of them, even if you had it higher than I had it, I still think it's a great game.
Yeah, we did. We had some, like I had two in my top 10 that didn't make the top 10. So our top 10s were close. We had like 8 each. Oh, actually, you had 9 in your top 10 that made it, which is unfair. But I guess without any more ado, we can talk about that so I can complain about my 2. So let's kick it off with our honorable mentions. Do you want to go first with that?
Oh, okay. I only have one that didn't make it, and that was Marvel United. So Marvel United is my honorable mention. It's super simple, really, really basic. You play a card and it has one of 3 icons on it, and then you just get to do those actions. So it might be doing a heroic action or moving or punching somebody. And then you also work with your partner, so it's cooperative. And that's one of the reasons why I love it. I love co-op games. I love having a light option that we can take out and play in 20 minutes, and the villains really mix it up as well. And that was my honorable mention.
And then I had 2 that didn't quite make it. So the first of those is Merv. And Merv, great, what is his name again? It's right here, Fabio Lopiano. He makes some really solid games. And this, I think we said it, we did a little video about this, and we said in that video, it feels a bit like a lighter Lacerda. Totally stand behind that. It does. And it's beautiful, it's super fun worker placement game. It just didn't quite make it, which is fair. And then Santa Monica is the other one. And this one had I think one of the biggest gaps of any. Jess does not like this as much as I like this. But I love the look of it. It's super, super light. And I think because we bought it when we were on vacation and we played it a bunch in the hotel, that I like it even more because of that.
Yeah, it looks lovely. It's a really light game, so if you set those expectations, it does work really well for that. I think part of it is the box is way bigger than it needs to be, and for me, that I don't know, there's something about that it brings it down a little bit.
Yeah, this box could be like a 1/6 this size and still have room left over. I totally agree with that. Yeah, so let's get into the actual list. And I think I'm first here. We're just going to go back and forth on them, even though you had this one a little bit higher than I did. But our number 10 is Calico. And yeah, it's great. It's tile placement, one of my favorite things. You're putting cats on rugs that they like. And it's really brain burny, and it's tough to give up on the fact that you will not succeed. You will not complete all of your goals which is kind of fun. Just super high production too.
Yeah, and it's so thinky. So you really have to strategize and then also just have a lot of hope for like the right thing to come out at the right time.
Yeah, there is a lot of, and I like just the little bits, like they've got little stories about the cats because they're all based on actual cats, and they've got the little like achievement goals that feel like Xbox goals in the back of the book, and just all these little touches, I think, make this a great game.
Yeah.
So this is number 10.
Number 9 is this one here, Pandemic Legacy Season 0. I love all of the Legacy Pandemics. Again, I'm a huge fan of cooperative games, and Pandemic Legacy does them so well. You play through, and so you get about 14 to 16 plays maybe out of it, but every time you play, something new is introduced, and this one really blew me away. I think I didn't expect too much of it because I thought like Season 2 was pretty similar to Season 1-ish, so they did some neat stuff, but this one does it so differently. I think this felt so much more different because it's Cold War and everything like that it just, again, just a whole other kind of kettle of fish, but still working within the pandemic system.
And Season 2, I'm kind of with the masses on it. I wasn't in love with it. I didn't hate it as much as some people, but I definitely felt like it was a step behind, and I felt like this kind of recaptured the magic a little bit. It's more like you're sneaking and spying and going into buildings, and we don't want to give stuff away from it, but it looked great. It's nice that like instead of cubes, you've got little secret agents in like the little secret agent hats, which is really fun as well.
Yeah, you find that out right away, so that's not a spoiler. But that was our number 9.
Our number 8 this is another big gap because this was number 5 on my list, but Nidavellir is one of the games that we got, we got late last year. We got late in 2021, and we first played this one on Board Game Arena, and then we played it for like months, and then we were finally like, okay, we got to get it because we're playing this so much. And it's just a terrific tableau building card drafting game where you've got 3 rows of 3 cards. You just take turns drafting one from the top row, then the middle row, then the bottom row, and you're trying to make up sets of different kinds of dwarves, and they all score differently. And it's got kind of tricky scoring, which I think maybe like you got to do a little bit of math,
yeah,
for sure. But it's so worth it, and it's just such a simple but such a fun game, and the style's great too.
Yeah, and it is that simple kind of set collection, and we really liked it on BGA. But then when we got it in person, the production of it is really nice. There's like where the coins are, there's a little coin display, and I am sucker for good production. And so the art and the massive size of everything being bigger than it needs to be, all of that really made me like this game even more.
Yeah, we really thought with the BGA, we were like, well, what's the point of, like, do we need to own this? And then, yeah, I'm glad that we do, just because it's silly. Like the card holders, like you said, the coin holders. And we played it a ton.
Yeah.
Super fun game. It's nice that it's got a small box. So that is our number 8.
Our number 7 has a bit of a bigger box, and it is this one. This is Tidal Blades Hero of the Reef. And it looks gorgeous. You could probably see from the box here. And it was one that really wasn't on our radar until we went into our game store and wanted to pick something up, and we're just drawn to the colors of it. Didn't quite know what we were getting. And it's just a really fun worker placement game where you are building up kind of your dice and building the levels up and completing these quests and trying to impress the judges for that. And it looks great. The play is fun as you complete those quests, and it all comes together really well. And I had this one a bit higher than you did.
Yeah, I didn't think I would like it, honestly, because it's so much dice rolling. But I don't know, it didn't feel that random to me because the dice are almost resources, and you got pretty good odds that if you've got more dice, you're gonna succeed. And yeah, it's fun with like, I like the surfing, like the weird kind of like you're showing off your like surfy skills, half of it, because it's half that and then half you're like fighting monsters.
Yeah.
And they don't totally mesh for me, but it works well. And I love the colors in this too.
Yeah, when we set it up, because you're advancing your dials on your player board, I thought it was going to be a really long experience, but it plays in like under an hour at 2 players, which is great, because that's a really kind of shorter than you want it to be, in that really good way that you want to keep playing. And that was our number 7.
Our number 6, and this was number 3 for me, but Jess doesn't like it quite as much. But that is Beyond the Sun. And Beyond the Sun, definitely not, this is not the most beautiful game that you're going to own. In fact, when we first got it, even when we looked at it, it looked like a pre-production copy a little bit. But once you got it on the table, it does not look like that. But just from the pictures, we were like, oh, is this worth
I think it took us like 9 months to buy it because of the pictures. We just thought it looked like it was maybe more of a prototype than a full finished game.
It looks really cool when it's on the table, and the mechanics are really good. This is like a combination. It's basically a giant tech tree. But within that, you've got worker placement, you've got a little kind of mini area control game that's happening off to the side, and you're kind of doing all of these things at once a little bit, where you're leveling up like the abilities that you've got, or the different worker placement spots that you can take advantage of, while you're also adding ships. And there's this really cool economy system where you've only got, I guess, 3 things.
Yeah.
But you've got like workers, you've got ships, and you've got coal.
Or.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's you've got black things. And you've got these little dice that go from like suitcase to worker to ship to stronger ship, and it's so smart. And I don't think I've seen another game do that.
Yeah, the management of those dice is a really interesting aspect, because some cards let you turn your dice into ships, but then once you've done that, you realize that you're no longer able to, you don't have dice left to get people that need action, so you really have to balance everything.
And it plays so good. It's so fun. And so that is our number 6.
Our number 5 is this one. So this is Tang Garden. And you start off basically with a blank canvas. And then on your turn, you are building out a lovely garden by putting out tiles or putting out decorations. And that could be trees or fish or birds. And it's a lot of like decisions you still have to make for that, in terms of whenever you put out a tile, you often get to advance your cubes along the way, and that gets you some more characters. But it looks gorgeous, and again, that's one where the looks of it really makes such a difference for this game. Mm-hmm. The trees are 3-dimensional. The transformation of this white space to a beautiful color space. And it's just delightful to play as you make that choice of, do I put out a tree or do I put out a tile?
Well, and I love that one of the main goals too is you just got to put out people, and you have to put them looking at the things that they want to look at. So you have to build like the garden that they want, and then they have to look off into like the distance at the sorts of things that they like, which is just it's a really nice thought.
And sometimes this game feels pretty, peaceful. We put some music on and then just play our tiles. But sometimes it can get really cutthroat as we look at what the other person needs and try and kind of preempt their move and get in their way a little bit. But no matter how we do it, it's really fun to play.
I don't know if it's ever peaceful. This game is straight up, maybe the first time we played it, Jess is mean in this game. This game is straight up cutthroat.
No, not always. I
don't
want you getting all the points.
It is straight up cutthroat, but beautiful at the same time.
And that was our number 5.
Our number 4 is a third part of one of our favorite series, and this is Viscounts of the West Kingdom. And I like that the West Kingdom games, and just the Shem Phillips games in general, have kind of gotten a little bit more complex every time, I think. And this one you've got a lot of different paths to victory, where you're building on a castle, you're moving around a space, and you can make buildings, and you're hiring new people to be part of your town or whatever it is. And then you've also got you're moving card tableau as you play cards. It's also a deck builder. You're also collecting a menu. There's so many little bits within it. I don't even know like what kind of game I would call it. It's like a multiple engine building.
Yeah,
deck builders.
Like you said, yeah, it's the rondel movement and like kind of worker placement, but within your very limited movement abilities and your deck building. And you're right, there is a lot to it in terms of that complexity. But I would say it's not quite as heavy as Paladins in terms of like the strategy and how much you have to make for your decision. So it is interesting that so much was built into this game that works really well. And once you understand the icons, it really does come together nicely. And I love the series, and I love Viscounts. It's also my favorite one. I love going in the castle, and sometimes there's times when I get to put out just turns upon turns of people in the castle. So that is one thing that your hope the expansions maybe boost the other strategies.
Yeah, I think this expansion either it just came out or it's just coming out. But yeah, I'm really, because Jess is a castle fanatic. She's crazy for the castle.
I love the castle.
I'm always like, well, maybe manuscripts, maybe if I do building / manuscripts, maybe. And I win now and then, but she definitely wins more than I do with a constant hardcore castle strategy.
If there's a castle, I'm going to go on it.
But it's a great game, and that is our number 4.
Our number 3 is, I think, the biggest box that we have on this list. Dwellings of Eldervale. And there's just so many aspects that I love about this game. Essentially, you only start off with a few tiles out, and those tiles are where you put your workers to be able to perform those actions. But part of those actions is being able to put more tiles out. Part of those actions is being able to purchase cards, which will give you different kinds of powers. So it's going up tracks, it's tableau building, it's tile placement, and it's all in kind of a D&D world. And so there are monsters that come out, there's some battling that happens, there might be some quests you have to do. There's just so much going on, but it's bright, it's colorful, and everything that is going on are all things that I like to do.
And it's all really connected. Like, it's cool that everything you do kind of does another thing. So, like, you put out your things, and like you're saying, you get, like, you take resources from the thing, or from the tile that you're on, or you get a power. And then when you bring back your guys, you've got, like, a second kind of worker placement section where you put them on your cards to further get resources or actions. So you're also building that card tableau for, like, the second part of the action. And then there's also this, like, resource management where, because you're turning dudes into houses by putting hats on them, which is the best part of the whole thing. That is the
whole best part. You actually just take the roof and you stick it on your meeple, and now it is a house.
And then you're recruiting like wizards and dragons, and you're fighting monsters, and it is great. And it's great that there's so many options. There's it's like 16 different races or something that you can be.
Yeah, and so again, asymmetry is something that we both really enjoy, and so the asymmetry is a bit minor, but enough to really influence the game. And that is our number 3.
Our number 2, and this was my number 1, Jess's number 3, that is Dune Imperium. And boy, do I love this game. Dune Imperium, it's so Dune. Like, the board is stark, you're really trying to build up influence in different areas, and just that you're only playing to 10 points, and every point you get is a real battle, and it's back and forth with those influence tracks, and it's back and forth with the fighting board as well, which is like another little part where you're deploying troops, and it's just who has more troops at the end of the round. And all of that it feels so Dune-y, and I love it.
Yeah, and you really do have to do a little bit of it all. You want to make sure you're going into the battles that are worth points. You want to make sure your opponent doesn't run away with a political victory in terms of getting all the points from being associated with all the other factions. And it builds it so well. And I think I love this game as well because I hadn't read the Dune books until we got this game. Mm-hmm. And then we read the Dune books. I watched the whole movie for the first time. You had already seen it. And so again, all of that just kind of set the scene for it, which made it a really great experience. And the board game, I think, really captures it incredibly well.
Yeah. Well, we read the first Dune book. There's like 12 more or
Yes,
something.
just the first one.
I think we own the second that I started. And I would strongly suggest reading the first
Yeah.
Dune book. And I would strongly suggest playing the game. And that is our number 2.
Our number 1 is Lost Ruins of Arnak. So that was my number 1. Your number 2.
No, my number 2, yeah.
And so these two games always get compared. We love them both.
They're neck and
fantastic.
neck. Yeah.
And this one also is a combination of worker placement and a bit of deck building as well, and just really, really tight resource management. And in this, you are an archaeologist that is exploring new territories, defeating guardians, and really importantly, doing research. But this is all about making combos and a lot of careful choices about how you spend your cards, because the cards will either dictate what location you can go in or be a resource. So you have to balance everything.
Yeah, it's the deck building is it's a little bit like less deck building, I feel like, because you've got cards, like your cards might come out 3 times in a game. It's not like Dominion where you're really building that so you can go quick. This is more like, oh, I'm gonna need this card at some point later, and this is gonna be helpful. But the combo-ness of it, because your first turn, you feel like you do nothing.
Yeah.
And you're like, how am I going to get up that track? And then your last turn, you're just like, boom, 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 boom. And then this gives me this, and then this gives me this, and then this helps me fight this guardian. And I think the theme as well, like, I love the Indiana Jones, the adventure explorer theme to this.
Yeah, and I love the production of it as well, because the gems look great, the arrowheads and stone tablets, all of that contribute to putting you into that theme and into that world. And I think this one's at a slight advantage as well, because we have played the expansion that came out. And so maybe that's why it's a bit higher for me, is the expansion is fantastic, and it adds that asymmetry that we love between the player powers. Highly
recommend it. Like, it moves it from what was already a fantastic game to just a phenomenal game.
And so that's our number 1 of 2020.
So thanks so much for watching. I know that this is, it's 2022 now, so we're like 2 years late on this, but you know what? We might even do more of these. I don't know. But that is our favorite, and it was just such a good year that we were like, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what your favorites were of 2020. Maybe there were some games that we haven't had the opportunity to play. So please do put those in the comments. And as usual, please like, subscribe. All of that really helps us out. And hopefully we will see you for the next one.